Hi guys, we're going to be ranking Metallica albums. A link to the original list will be in the description down below. So without further ado, let's get into this. So after releasing Load, the band doubled down on everything that made Load so polarizing. Apart from the flashy opening and Fuel, really is a grinding 75 minutes of the band doing their best catch up to the ongoing musical trends in the 90s that supplanted their fresh empire. The moments where they were imitating Alice in Chains, like Where the Wild Things Are, roaring through mawkish southern rock with the song Bad Seed, or appeasing fans with nostalgia in Unforgiven 2, are serious low points, but Unforgiven 2 was good in my opinion, but not epic like the original. That said, the tangerines on songs like Devil's Dance and Better Than You are unquestionably colossal, and Marianne Faithfull's erratic folk singing on the Memory Remains is at least adventurous for an album that otherwise contains few creative risks. The Load album was considered too much for many old school fans to bear. The complete desertion of thrash, the uninteresting and pompous cover art, the members' trendy alternative makeovers, with all that baggage washed away by the quarter of the century, Load shines today as what it is. A badass exploratory collection of bluesy hard rock bangers that dealt with dark personal topics, depression, drug and alcohol abuse, and the death of loved ones, and much more. At 1 hour 19, it feels like a stretch, but it's hard to deny the grooving power cuts like Ain't My Bitch and King Nothing, or the broody grandeur of Closer, the Outlaw Law, which speaks to the passing of Cliff Burton and the aftermath that followed. An honourable mention here will be Bleeding Me, but that's just my opinion. Like her way big band before the grandiose and Justice for All, but their first album since the death of bassist Cliff Burton and the enlistment of his replacement Jason Newsted from Flotsam and Jetsam transformed them into a true cavalcade. The band was bigger and so were the songs, which swelled them to prog metal proportions, from Blackened to Eye of the Beholder to even Half Step Sorrow. But of course, the song One we can't forget about, and the album is packed with exquisite, solid, politically fueled epics, but even the band found themselves a bit overly indulgent. Metallica released Death Magnetic and with a new old outlook after working with producer Bob Rock for over a decade. So they sought musical genius Rick Rubin and explicitly tried to reconnect with the hunger of their early days. Rubin's approach was, go back to what you were thinking at the time of Master of Puppets, and the result was a clear step in the right direction. And a song like All Nightmare Long just unquestionably rips. But overall, this album is the sound of Metallica trying to be early Metallica again. Master of Puppets is clearly one of the greatest metal albums ever made, and that claim has been levied for decades. And now, nearly 4 decades since they released this album, any claims of overrated have really become absurd. The symphonic solos, the timeless riffs, the evergreen political lyrics, the airtight performances, the stellar production, and how every lick and vocal melody to be incredibly catchy without ever sounding cheap or blatant. It's just absolutely brilliant. Now, Death Magnetic sound transitional and still somewhat of an awkward reconnection with their fresh origins, but Hardwired sounds like the band easily picking up where they left off and actually finding joy whilst doing it. Seemingly encumbered by the internal strife or external pressure, the band were able to breathe and write generally formidable thrash bangers like Hardwired, Halo on Fire, and the show-stopping Spit Out the Bone that captured the energy, authenticity, and aspiration that made the band's initial run of albums so enjoyable. Metallica's Robert Trujillo says 72 Seasons is the best album he's made in his 20 years with Metallica, maybe more impressive. The epic album serves as a rip-roaring survey of the band's career. There's the speedy thrash of Metallica's early days in songs like Shadows Follow and Too Far Gone, the Black Album-esque groove metal You Must Burn or Sleepwalk My Wife Away, and the new wave British heavy metal inspired Lux Eterna, and the closing song Inamorata. Black Album is Metallica's most popular album for sure, and for many music listeners, it's probably the only metal album that they're familiar with, as it represents the border between two separate periods of the band's career, trading the speed for groove, the technicality for tunefulness. The Black Album was incredibly a risky invention for their sound that is still controversial with their fan base today, but for good reason. That's what makes the record so massive. It's possibly the most perfect mix of catchy, crushing ever recorded. The drastic stuff of songs like Sabbath True and Wherever I Roam are untouchable, and ballads like Nothing Else Matters are just the one that started it all. Killing had bangers like Seek and Destroy, Hit the Lights, and The Four Horsemen. They're some of the greatest thrash songs ever written. Most bands would rank their hyper-technical 1988 album above this, but Kill 'Em All is the only Metallica record that can be described as scrappy, raw, and intensely, embroideredly intense. However, it's loose and unrefined compared to what was to follow, but it has a charm that's hard to beat. To creating a prototype of speed metal with their first album, Metallica rolled out their thrash upgrade that was a bigger, better version of what came before. On Ride the Lightning, the band visualized a genre premised on the sheer force and speed into a far more technical, expansive, and widely appealing monster, making room for the classical acoustic guitars, sophisticated instrumental passages, and even a heart-rendering power ballad. Heavy hitters such as Creeping Death, Fight Fire Fire bring the bloody hammer danger, while songs like And the Title Track For Whom the Bell Tolls introduce a whole new world of melodic possibility. With this album, Metallica truly became Metallica, and in the process, inspired a whole generation of musicians to step up their game. Male musicians at the time, by the way. So there we guys. Let me know in the comments down below how you would rank Metallica's albums. Other than that, don't forget to check out videos on the side. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.